The clients I coach, we've been talking about number one, being informed, right? Accurately informed. I highly recommend you download the 108-page settlement. Take a little bit of time and at least just take a look at it and read it, because the most important thing you can do is be informed. It's no different than pulling up the hot sheet and see what listings are coming on the market, what's pending, what are the possible neighborhoods, how many days on market. It's no different than looking at to see what's interest rate. It's being a knowledge broker. That's number one. Then also going to the NAR site and actually pulling down the highlights about what's going on. Then going to your own personal MLS, your own guidelines, your own state rules and regulations, and figuring out what is being mandated today. And having those conversations.
Hi, I'm Noel with today's Brew. We're top producing real estate agents that share their tips and tricks on taking more listings, making more money, and having fun doing it. On today's episode, we welcome Alicia Soekawa from Richmond, Virginia. Hi, Alicia. How are you?
Hey, Noel. I'm so glad to be here. I'm well. How are you?
I am great. We are so lucky to have you on the show. For everybody watching, she is a top 100 agent in the Richmond area. She's also a Tom Ferry coach, and we are so blessed to have you on. Please give us a little bit more background on you.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here and share as always. Yes, I am a Tom Ferry coach. I'm also a Tom Ferry client. So I'm a product of their coaching system. And I own a brokerage in the Richmond market. It's actually in Glen Ellen, Virginia, which is near Shore Pump Town Center. So anybody that knows the area knows that. And it's a small boutique brokerage. And I've been in the business. This is my 10th year in the business. And we're going into spring market now, big time. It's second quarter here. But I've been really privileged to do my business by referral based. I'm 99.9% referral agent. And
wow,
I've been able to go from fellow agent to, an assistant, like transaction coordinator assistant, to small team, blowing up the team, had a baby in the business, battled breast cancer in the business, blew up my team again, and then opened a brokerage. And it's kind of an evolution of all that. Became a coach somewhere in between that. So that's like a really a quantum speed of how I did the business and
of who you are, which is
a
phenomenon. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
It's a lot. And I like to rush through it really quick, because when you do that, you can see like that's a decade, right? From starting in the business to where I am today. If you had asked me day one, would you be opening your own brokerage and running your brokerage? Would you be a coach? Would you be a certified? I'm also a Tom Ferry certified speaker. Would you be one of the speakers? Would you be doing all these things that you did? And if you had asked me that back in 2014, I would have said no. I would have. What is a coach? What is that? And what is like a team? I wouldn't have understood any of it. So the reason I'm just saying that, if anybody's watching this and trying to understand this market, if you're a newer agent, or if you are newer, like 1 to 5 years in, and you're struggling, or you're like part-time debating on whether to go full-time, what I would say is don't compare your like day one, your year one, to someone that's been doing it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I think that's the problem of our industry, is that you do see the highlight reel all the time, and you don't see the stuff that people did to get to where they are. So I think these shows are really important to understand the struggle and the journey of it all, and appreciating every moment of it. But I think it's really, really, really important, especially now with all the changing of the market that we're seeing, not just with inventory issues, interest rate issues, but now with NAR settlement issues.
I'm glad you touched on the settlement a little bit. Briefly, I know you coach clients and you are a client yourself. What would you say to agents that are newer or not new? They've been in the business forever and they're just kind of freaking out about what's going on. How do you tell them to get through that? What should they say?
I think there are people genuinely really scared. And I think that's unfortunate that that's the mindset they're going to, be on. And I think I'm one of those people that is in the camp that says what you focus on is how it's going to flow. And I'm always like a positive person. I've always been that way, no matter what, because it really doesn't benefit you to be the other way. Nothing's
No.
going to get accomplished with you
Mm-mm.
complaining. And I just don't subscribe to that whole world. And I think people I think there's multiple worlds going on at the same time. I know it sounds hokey, but it's true. Because if you go this way and you want to focus on this way, this is what you see and this is what your life is about. But if you want to go this way, you're going to see that way. It's a kind of two sides of the coin. And so the clients I coach, we've been talking about number one, being informed, right? Accurately informed. I highly recommend you download the 108-page settlement. Take a little bit of time and at least just take a look at it and read it, because the most important thing you can do is be informed. It's no different than pulling up the hot sheet and see what listings are coming on the market, what's pending, what are the possible neighborhoods, how many days on market. It's no different than looking at to see what's interest rate. It's being a knowledge broker. That's number one. Then also going to the NAR site and actually pulling down the highlights about what's going on. Then going to your own personal MLS, your own guidelines, your own state rules and regulations, and figuring out what is being mandated today. And having those conversations. Our MLS had its own town hall, and it was a great town hall. It was an attorney that went through the whole document. Was like fact, fiction, fact, fiction. Wow. This is how we handle it. This is what we're going to do. Our documents already are pretty much, he basically said, our attorney that wrote our documents basically said, we won't have that many adjustments. There might be a couple tweaks of verbiage, but they've already been prepped for this. And our documents have already been prepared and changed for that starting January this year. I think February is implemented. So for us, it's just business as usual. It's just the conversation, right? And so because I am referral based, if you are referral based, if you're working with friends and family and you know they're going to use you, in the past, you may have been like, I know you're going to use me. It's going to be fine. I will just add that buyer brokerage agreement when we submit the contract. Well, what's going to change now is that getting into the behavior. And that's what we say about changing that behavior now before it becomes a mandate of any sort. Get into that practice now of functioning your business like a business, not a hobby. And there's no fear involved in that because you're doing it anyways. And if you have a problem telling a buyer how you are compensated, if you have a problem telling your buyer how you protect them and that your fiduciary responsibility is them, and in reverse, you are protected as well for your time and your energy and your efforts and your expertise, then you really shouldn't be in business. Yeah. That's all there is to it. If you cannot have a business conversation with someone that's going to make a decision on their biggest financial decision in their life, most likely, what's the problem here? So it is not about fear. It's about not getting yourself in knowledge. People that are overwhelmed or in fear is because there's unknown. And there's a need to control. There's a need to have certainty. And that's all it is. So I think if you don't, there's a saying that in times of uncertainty and fear, people look for certain people to follow. Yeah. So are you going to be the agent that's certain and knows what they're doing, gets educated? If you don't know what you're doing, go find your broker and find out what you're doing.
Yes. Ask questions.
Call an attorney, real estate attorney, and have them walk it through it with you. Invest in your knowledge, invest in your experience today. Don't run around with your head chopped off. Oh my God, oh my God. And if you really are like that, then maybe this is a great time for you to put your license in referral status. Yeah. And that's the honest truth.
Yeah, it's hard to hear, but you're right. You're right. Okay, so talking about some goals. Let's keep going with the positive side. Well, what are your goals for this year?
I have a lot of different goals this year, and I actually am a big believer. I'm going to pull my little calendar. So I do everything. I teach a whole class on time blocking first and foremost as a Tom Ferry coach. So, and it's a webinar, and it's about how I use my Google Calendar to time block my life. So I am very digital. It's on my phone, and everything is set up very much scheduled. And that's how I'm able to coach and do my own personal set of business and run our brokerage and team and also be a mom of 3. So that's how I do all of these things. Right.
Superwoman.
And there's something that marries that together is also my planner. And this is my sticker for my broker, but it's a full focus planner through Michael Hyatt. I don't get paid anything for shouting them out. There is no affiliate planner. I just love it. I've been using it for years, but it's quarterly. So if you've read 12-week year or anything like that, it kind of goes quarterly. So that's why I love it. So it only lets you look at it in chunks. And it also serves as like not a diary, like you can note taking, you can take, you go to classes or whatever, you can take notes and read, you can journal on there. but I have my 10 goals, and it's so interesting. Like, one of my biggest goals, and you'll love this being a business owner, is to travel as much as possible with
Yes.
my family, with the business paying for it.
Okay.
Because that means when you are, the tax code was written for business owners, right?
Okay.
So if you tack business travel with your personal travel along with it, it actually works hand in hand. So whether
Ooh.
it's using my points of
Mhm.
all the stuff that I do to travel, whether it's using, I have a conference here, so I'm going to piggyback
Yeah,
and do those things. Does that make sense? And so that's one of my goals.
absolutely. Yep.
So that's like marrying my personal life with all the work that I do. That's one of my big goals this year.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
crazy. It's nothing to
And
do
when you
with
go to all your sales retreats, you can finish it with a vacation with the family.
yes. Yes. And I have it here. And then also is to basically leverage the help that I have in my brokerage. So this is a big thing for agents that are starting to grow in their business and they're feeling exhausted and burned out.
Mhm.
Learning to leverage more so that I can be in my highest genius.
Okay. Okay. I like it. I
Does that
love
make
it.
sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
so if I love to inspire and coach and create content and do, be with my buyers and stuff, why am I doing paperwork? Why am I doing
You
admin
need to
work?
delegate it.
Yes. And so there's a concept of when you delegate, you leave it behind and you say goodbye.
Mhm.
Let me know when it's done. I've
Uh-huh.
delegated it.
Uh-huh.
Leverage is I still am checking on it, but I'm leveraging you to do other things. So I
Okay.
think there's a subset things that we can leverage, and there are
Mhm.
things that we can delegate, and understanding the two things and how they serve you better. So
Okay.
that's one of my bigger goals as well. And then also, what do I want to do? There's so many great things I want to do. I want to read 50 books. A lot of my
Wow.
stuff is not necessary. So what I realize is this is what I will tell my coaching clients is the leading habits are what creates the lagging results. So
Okay.
if you want to do 100 units,
Mhm.
right? If I want to work with 100 sellers, 100 buyers, what are you doing every day? The leading that's going to pull the lagging. I'm doing the wrong way. I
Got
know
it.
it's the opposite.
No, 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 but I understand fully, and I like
Right.
it. I like it.
So for me, it would be like, um, one of the things I'm trying to do is get better at using AI and being more knowledgeable with
Mhm.
AI and understanding like Facebook audience and growing you like understanding YouTube and understanding things that are pushing me out of my comfort zone. Because I'm okay with talking to clients. I'm okay with calling people. I'm okay with listing appointments. And I still practice that and I can have that conversation. I understand data sets. I understand how
Mhm.
to translate what can I do for you, Mr. Seller? What can I do for you, Mr. Buyer? I don't know how I can do that with my eyes closed. It's not a struggle anymore for me. Do I still need to keep up to date on what's going on? Absolutely
Sure.
100%. That doesn't ever die. Do I need to keep practicing? Absolutely 100%. And I will keep doing that. But it's not a struggle. It's
Yeah.
not a challenge. So for me, it would be more about pushing myself out of my comfort zone to like understand how Google ads work and how do I run this ad to get more views, understanding what an A/B test means in running those ads.
Okay.
Maybe understanding like in Espresso Agent, they have an ability to do like likely to list, understanding how
Mhm.
do you take that data and create a Facebook audience where it can find that audience to do like posts and paid posts in that part, things like
Yes.
that, and I
Yes.
think it's about that and like maybe using the data points to send out note cards because you don't always have to call people. You can always find different ways
Yes.
to leverage the site, which I found very, very helpful for me because I'm doing more circle prospecting. So I do seller seminars right now. So we have like 2 a month in our office. That's one of our biggest goals is to really focus on listings. And that's another thing. If you become a very strong listing agent, you own the market. Because think about
Absolutely.
this, you have the product on the shelf,
Mhm. Oh, yeah. It's
right?
going. Someone's gonna get it.
So, and your signs in the ground,
Mhm.
and you have the pictures, your name's on all the stuff. So, and typically a listing will yield you a buyer, right?
Correct. Correct.
So, all of those things, at least one buyer, sometimes two, and sometimes another listing.
And sometimes
So,
17 in this
absolutely.
market.
Actually, I
In
have
this
a dear
market.
friend, Meredith
Mhm.
Fogel, the List Realty. She did this whole listing flywheel presentation. I'm going to give her credit to that on how do you get leverage one listing to get 10 listings to get like it's like it's like a referral. You get one person, you
Mhm.
take care of them, and give you two more people, and then two more people give you four, and it just grows and grows and grows. Right.
Yep.
And so that's kind of the concept that I gotta kind of work with. So sorry, that
Right.
was a roundabout answer to
That's
your
okay.
question.
No, I love it. You have so much information. Everyone's going to be really, really happy about watching you
Oh, okay, good.
and listening.
Yes.
So you said that your focus is listings, of
Yeah.
course. What percentage of your business is listings versus buyers?
I'm probably 75% listing and 25% buyers
Okay.
intentionally. So I gave about
Yeah.
40% of my buyers away last year on purpose.
Okay. Okay. No,
But I
listings is definitely the name of the game, and
Mhm.
listing as well. That's one. If you're listing 75% of your business, that's 75% less settlement things you even have to think about
Yeah,
because
and
you're
actually,
on the other side of it. You're on the other side of it.
well, even on the other side of it, the conversation I have, I think it's really important to remember this. We all work together. We are a
Correct.
co-op, a cooperative. So just as much as there's a listing agent, there is going to be a buy side. You cannot sell that property 9 times out of 10, maybe 1 out of 10, you can sell it yourself, and
Mhm.
someone will come up and knock on the door and be okay not being represented, maybe. But most of the time, it's a buyer broker that comes, right, to the table that brings you a ready and willing buyer and closes the deal.
Mhm.
Because if someone's non-represented and you're only making 3%, then you have to sit there for the open house. I mean, for the inspection, you got to deal with all this stuff. You got to
Mhm.
help this person that doesn't know what they're doing anyway. So you're doing all the work anyways.
Yeah.
And I think it almost in a way, if you have a seller that's not willing to compensate for that, they're actually potentially going to lose money, kind of like them going as for sale by owner in a way. And
Yes.
I think that just because it's not going to be listed, potentially it's proposed in the settlement. I'm going to say it proposed. It's not been 100% sign off. Like, disclaimer, I am not an attorney, but what we're seeing potentially, I want to say that because I don't want anybody to turn this
No.
into something that's not, is that if it does get removed and it gets approved, which is likely what we're seeing going to happen from MLSs, and it only can be advertised on personal websites of your
Mhm.
company, because
Mhm.
it cannot be in showing time. It cannot be in your Zillows. It cannot, and people that are posting that, well, you need to read the 108-page document, which is why I said pull the document and read it.
Yes.
Okay.
Be educated.
Be educated, be informed. The biggest thing is that what it's going to do is, I was telling someone, it's going to force the conversation. It's going to
Mhm.
force the communication. And that's what we need in our business more than anything. That's the
Absolutely.
number one complaint that's out there, is that there's lack of communication. And for our brokers, that's one of our 5 core values, is that we communicate. We
Yeah.
communicate, we communicate, we communicate. And that's
Communication is
huge.
everything.
100%. And you know what? That actually resolves 99% of the problems in the world.
I was just about to say that. If you just talk. I mean, I
Mhm.
was working on a deal earlier today. I'm an agent as well. So
Oh, it's exciting. Yes.
yeah, so I was driving back from out of town and I am representing the buyer on this. And the listing agent had sent the counter back. And I was like, well, let's just clarify what you mean by this. And look, it was nothing. Because we had a conversation rather than, like you said, and you didn't use the word ignorant, but I am being ignorant,
Mhm.
not asking the questions and not being educated and assuming like people know what's going on with the settlement and everything else, and not representing their client to the fullest. Just
Yes.
ask questions and you eliminate 99% of the problems and the worry, because most worrying
Yeah.
is nothing. You're worrying about what may happen and it usually doesn't happen.
And so if you don't have an answer, you're like, let me find out and I'll get back with you. There's
That's the
nothing
best
wrong with
thing
that.
you
Let
can
me
do.
check the data point and get that back with you. And using the words like, I'm curious. I'm just curious. What is the answer to this? I'm curious. Would your seller be willing to compensate me so that
You
my buyer
said
doesn't have
it
to bring me to
so
the table?
perfectly right there. You
Right.
said it perfectly. I'm curious.
Yeah. Or what would it take? What would it take for your seller to compensate my side of the deal? Because I want to bring this buyer, but he's unable to pay that. What would it take for that to
Yeah.
happen? Or would
Yeah.
your seller consider that, have a consideration? And I
Mhm.
think that it's about language, how we use language, how we approach our counterparts, again, a cooperation of our other side. And also in a listing appointment, it's about saying to the seller, like, this is my fee to list, this is everything I'm going to do for you, but part of that's going to be is like, how do you want to compensate the buy side, and being
Yes.
very clear that they do bring a value to the table. No, we cannot put it in the MLS, but doesn't mean that we're not going to put it on our website. It doesn't mean it's not going to go on our email blast. It doesn't mean that we're not going to get phone calls on this. And,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, they're probably going to write it in the contract anyways. Don't you want to have the biggest buying pool in general?
Yes.
Like they're
Yes.
still going to show it, but it doesn't mean that someone can bring the money to make the difference up.
Yeah,
So
it's in our purchase agreement already. It's been in there since before the actual settlement, and in the purchase agreement,
yeah.
it's a line item now,
So
3%.
ours is that if it they gave us a line item to add into our additional terms, if it's
Mhm.
because it's still showing, comp is still showing. So if
Mhm.
comp is not showing, we can add it in now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, so it's good. Okay, well, I've loved every moment of this. How can we get more of you? Tell us about your social media platforms,
Yeah,
websites, phone numbers.
well, I love everything to do with social media. I'm one of those people that eats it up and thinks it's fascinating. So on Instagram, I have my handle up on the screen. It's at Alicia .rva. That's my personal Instagram. I have one for the brokerage. It's the collaborative .re for real estate. And then I have TikTok. It's just Alicia Soekawa, my name. And on Facebook, my name, LinkedIn, my name. And I also have a new YouTube channel I'm growing. I just have my little reel that have started out, but it's going to be about, it's Alicia Soekawa, thriving in real estate and life. And the handle is A Soekawa to find
Okay.
it. So
Okay.
if you subscribe, you'll get alerts. My goal is to do like a video a week and coaching on, it's on empowerment, real estate mastery, holistic living, and balanced life. So it's a little bit of everything. So, and another caveat, I am a Tony Robbins client as well. Through
Okay.
his partnerships, have been able to really kind of explore the whole spectrum of bettering myself by educating myself and getting like kind of just self improvement, self development, constant work so
Fair.
that I can help others.
Yeah. No, well, I'm subscribing, and I know everybody else is going to subscribe as well. As soon as I get off today, I'm going to go right on YouTube and
Oh, I'm
Instagram.
excited. Yeah.
Because I'm excited to see more of you and hear more of what you have to say. You're a very educated, successful woman, and I love everything about what you're representing for the community of real estate and the holistic side of it. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. It's so good to see you in person too, Noel.
You
So
too.
thanks for
You
your time.
too.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.